Okay, we're here back from our commercial break. Now for the recap segment of our portion of our program. Bachelors versus U.S. Marshals, and we talked about a little early. This game actually was played in beautiful Fireman's Field, and it was a gorgeous facility yesterday. Bachelors, I mean, a tale of two games. They lost the first game 21-0 with the return of Edward Cohen from 2 weeks being on the road. And not much to really say about that game, but they actually rebounded in Game 2 to somehow pull off a miraculous victory with an 11-3 lead. We had some statements from Ali Marshall while the game was going on, but due to the age consent of our audience, we can't play that. But it was an amazing performance in Game 2, and I got there just in time for the end of the game. They lost in the 13-12. And that team was absolutely devastated.
They were up 11-3 late, right?
11-3 in the fifth, and they tied it up before you could say boo. And they had a tying run on, 2 guys on with 1 out, and they couldn't get the run across to tie it. But I think those guys are getting very close, and now they got a full team. Edmund Dweck, they acquired this week, is going to help them immensely down the stretch. And
well, he's replacing Nathan Matu, right?
yes,
did he play this week?
Yeah, he did.
I saw him on field.
He did. I think it was like 4 for 7. Did good, and solidifies their defense and their offense. And Edward Cohen had another monster home run yesterday. He's got 3 on the year. He's a very powerful hitter. But if anything, they're gonna play a major spoiler role down the rest of the way. So the way I see it. But,
yeah, the other team's got to beware that they sent this message to the Marshall team, so it's not a pushover anymore. You got to be careful not to lose to them, and the pressure really mounts on the teams that play them the rest of the way. We play them the last week of the season. We're 3-5. Eddie Michon plays them 2 weeks before the end of the season.
How about Thursday?
30. So that's 30 dozen. So
five.
they play them the second to last week. We play them the last week, and we're both 3-5. So those are going to be very big games for both of our teams. We got to, win those games. Otherwise, the team that doesn't can miss the playoffs.
I saw Elliot Simhorn yesterday, around an hour or 2 after the game, and to say he was devastated is an understatement. He said they were up 11-3 with 1 out in the 5th, and there was a high pop between the pitcher and the first baseman. Neither of them went for it. It ended up bouncing and going foul. And then after that, whoever was up got a hit, and then another hit, and then an error, blah, 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 and they tied the game 11-all. Then the Bachelors actually took a 12-11 lead in the next inning, and then blew it 13-12.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
So very, very tough loss for
actually,
all those
we
Bachelor
should
fans.
mention there was a play that really epitomizes the whole season. In the first inning, 2 men on.
They missed the bag?
David Hakeem, it's a home run. Hits a shot in the gap, rounding third, somehow runs into his third base coach, Irving Matesh, who's about 4'1", and he was called out to end the inning. I mean, this is like the 5th time this year that they've either missed a base or touched the thing, or I mean, it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But that run obviously would have been a big difference.
Now they do have talent. I will say that they are going to win a game.
Yeah.
I will tell you, they will win 1, maybe 2 games. I don't know who against who, but they do have some talent. If they just had a pitcher, they would be a pretty good ball.
I think they just need a pitcher and a veteran player that
Yes.
would
Yeah,
affordable opponent. But I will say that I still think the team that they are going to beat, we talked about it yesterday a little bit, is the team that's not going to make the playoffs, the second team.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're gonna play a spoiler and a 1 win because everybody's so bunched up right now, and it's 1 loss to the Bachelors is probably going to cost the team a postseason spot.
There's a lot of pressure on every team that plays them now.
Yeah,
I know I'm playing them next week, and a couple of weeks ago we were all joking about it, but every week they get closer and closer, and they can't be taken as lightly anymore. I would have loved to have seen them win yesterday, just to hear Saban and Ali, and just to hear that
the
team.
ticking time bombs would have been...
that would have been X-rated.
That would have been unbelievable for...
the whole show, I think, would have been 40 minutes just
for the YMSL, the cable network YMSL, we can show that.
And to their credit, I mean, most teams after losing 21-0 would not have rebounded. They might have just called it in for Game 2.
They probably didn't know they lost 21-0.
Yeah. So, I think we'll talk about their matchup next week, but they're certainly on the way up. I guess you can't go any lower, but and then that's the next game we had, which was a great matchup. Ike Deed's Killer Z's versus Maurice's Pieces and Maurice Haber. No love lost between those two. Jeffrey Sacker versus Yedid, another great matchup, and that was at Memorial 3. Two classic games again. NRJ, you can tell us, fill us in, obviously the historic moment in Game 1. But
the first game we were up 2-0 late, and it was like the rest of our games. We weren't hitting at all, but Sacker was pitching unbelievably. And then we really felt that they stole that game from us. It happened so quickly. They scored 6 or 7 runs in like in the 6th inning or something. We just fell apart, and they were hitting the ball very hard. Sacker was walking too many people. We weren't fielding as well as we usually field, and they really stole it. The second game,
well, actually, big grand slam by Avi Dweck.
Big grand slam by Avi Dweck to right field with 2 outs at 2-all.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was big. The second game was really one of the most intense games I've ever played in this league. We were up by like 4 or 5 runs, and they kept on inching back, and suddenly it was 9-7. They had bases loaded in their last licks with 2 outs, and Sammy Cross was up.
No, but they walked Ike Yedid.
Yeah,
Struck out Jason Sultan.
Right.
They walked him on
We came over to that field to watch the end of the game.
We didn't intentionally walk you.
No, you didn't. Just walk.
It was not unintentional.
It was unintentional. We walked them. Sacker was having control issues.
Yeah. He walked. No, it wasn't an intentional walk.
And it was bases loaded for Cross.
Right.
And again, the tying run was on second. Go-ahead run was on. The winning run was on first. And Sacker struck him out on a 2-2 count.
High heater.
That's 2 outs of
High heater.
strikeouts.
Interesting. I thought that was one of those pitching around Yedid. I mean,
No.
Yedid's
Yeah, I
still
thought
a
he
great
was.
clutch hitter. I'm surprised.
Once
he wouldn't
Jeffrey
let-
gets ahead of the count, when he got to 0-2, I said, he's in trouble, because now he's coming with the heat.
Yeah.
Once he got ahead of the count, I said, he's in trouble. And sure enough, he struck out.
But again, Sammy Cross, big game yesterday.
He's a good ball player.
He's a powerful hitter, and he played great shortstop yesterday. So
Well.
he's certainly a worthy pick by Killer Z's in that round.
Yeah, he's a very good player, but Sacker with that experience when he's up 0-2.
Yeah.
We had a
the
little
edge.
conference
He had
at
the
the mound, and he knew exactly where the next 3 pitches were going to go, and it worked perfectly. Thank God.
Well, first of all, rookie's got to pay his due somehow, and
Now both teams are
that's-
5-3.
that was not
Right.
But he does have a bright future.
Oh, for
really.
sure, for sure. So that game was definitely a classic, and Maurice's Pieces now sitting pretty at 5-3, and Killer Z's also at 5-3, and I think they're still going to be one of the teams to beat, certainly going forward.
Bob, keep an eye out on the locker room, and actually not just locker room, the on-the-field tension between third baseman Jason Sultan and pitcher Ike Deed. These two were going at it. Routine ground ball to third. Jason picks it up and actually threw a wide throw to first and said it was Yedid's fault for standing on the mound in between his throw from third to first.
Oh, really?
Where's he supposed to go?
An inning later,
It's on the
Duck
floor.
down.
Yeah.
An inning later, Sultan makes an unbelievable diving stop, stands up, throws a strike to first base to get the out. Unbelievable Gold Glove play, and everyone's congratulating him. Great play, great play. And Yedid wants credit for moving out of the way. He goes, Jason, look, I moved all the way to home plate.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Jason Sultan's certainly one of the hot-headed individuals in the league, to say the least. He exploded a couple of times on the umpires yesterday.
Yes, he did.
So he's, if he comes around, he'll be that team will be much stronger. He hasn't been hitting early in the year, but I think he's picking up his pieces a little bit. So
Yeah, any team with Yedid is going to be there.
Yeah.
You got to figure they're going to be there somewhere. Any team with a Yedid type pitcher you got to count on them. Going to be there.
yeah, no, there's no question about it. I mean, Yedid's been there so many times, won a lot of championships, and
One thing I like to say about your team is there are 4 teams that are 5-3 in the league. 3 of them have played the Bachelors, I believe, and I think you're the only ones that haven't, and you're 5-3.
It's
So
a true 5-3.
that's a real 5-3.
Yeah, so they'll get their moment this week, and Right now, we're going to get a word from our sponsors and come back.